Hello my lovely people, welcome back. If you're new here, I am Molly and I do book content here on YouTube. And today I am coming at you with a tag, and yes, I have actually been tagged in this tag, which is really cool. So Kelley from Kelley, she recently did a book tag and tagged me in it, and that is the Finally Fall book tag. And I thought, well, I've got an extra week before I need to have a look at what books I'm going to be reading in December. So I thought I would do this tag whilst we are still technically officially in the fall, even though really we're here in England, it's mostly just wintry, autumnal at this point. It is currently really dark and really rainy, even though, and I will tell you what time it is, even though it's 5 to 3 this afternoon. So yeah, brilliant. So I've had to put the big light on in the ceiling, but I do have a little friend with me, and it's one you don't normally see, because normally it's our cat Dora, who is quite fat, mostly white, but today, can I show you where she is? There she is. There's my little bean. She's having a nap on my bed because she's seen me outside and was like, you know what, I'm just going to sleep, and I don't blame her. So Bean's going to be very unhelpful, not actually help me, which is fine. I don't need her help. She can just sleep, it's fine. But yeah, I'm going to get into this tag because there are 13 questions. So I should probably just get on with it, because we all know I am a bit of a talker. So yeah, let's get started. So actually, before that, let's have a nice hot cup of coffee. And I am still having my sugar-free pumpkin spice. And I've got it in my autumnal mug, which is very apt for this tag, although unsurprising. So let's start with question 1, and that is crunching leaves. Choose a book that has red, orange or yellow on the cover. And I have a few autumnal looking books, so I had a few options, but I went with one that's actually on my current TBR, and I picked it for the fall season because it's for a yearly challenge that I'm doing, which is read Christian romance, and this is the one I'm very behind on, because I think this was meant to be my September one or August. Either way, I'm behind on it, and the book I picked is All My Secrets by Lynn Austin, because all of these colours, all the oranges and sort of mustardy browny colours, are all very autumnal. So I picked this one. So yeah, I hope to get to this very soon. Question 2, Cosy Sweater Weather. A book that feels like a warm hug. Now, I'm using a book to substitute because the actual book is right at the bottom of my series that I'm going to show you, and I'm sure you can all guess what it is just by me saying that. It's a series I am reading through and nearly finished, and it represents not just the one first book, but also just the whole series is very much a warm hug for me. And that is the Anne of Green Gables series. This particular book is Willow of Ingleside. The series is by Ellen Montgomery. I haven't read this yet, but like with my first book, it is on my current TBR because this is our last book for the year of the actual Anne of Green Gables series that Chantel is doing. Oh, there's a lighthouse at the distance. I never noticed that. Anyway, sorry, distraction. So yeah, I picked this to represent the Anne of Green Gables book and the Anne of Green Gables series. This has very much been no, I'm repeating that. This has very much been a warm hug series and book. So I am using Anne of Green Gables for this. Question 3, Pumpkin Spice Everything. A book that everyone seems to love, but you might not. And that's quite hard to do because I don't really keep up with popular releases or anything like that. However, because I'm on BookTube, there are times where I have seen lots of people raving about it, or people talking about lots of people raving about a book. And funny enough, this actually goes with the little, I don't know what you call it, pumpkin spice everything bit. And that is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This is very popular in the secular romance lovers sort of world of reading. It's a very popular series, and I do have to say I do love the covers in this series. I mean, look at that. I mean, I could have used this for the first prompt, well, question, but I didn't. But yeah, this is definitely one where everyone seems to love it, but I didn't. I do have to say it, certainly this book, I can't speak for the rest of the series, and I can't speak for the last bit of it because I read about half of it and then DNF'd it. It's not that spicy for most of it. In fact, I wouldn't really call it particularly spicy, just more instant attraction sort of thing. But I have noticed the spice getting more the further in the book we get and the more official their relationship is. So that's kind of partly why I stopped, because I just could see it coming, either like an open door scene or just pretty spicy, I don't know. But yeah, I just don't want to be reading that myself. But also just there was a really stupid bit that I just couldn't understand, and I was like, why, how? I don't know. Anyway, if you watch my wrap up when I talked about when I DNF'd this, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm sure other people don't think it's as stupid, but I did, so. Okay, question 4 is A Crisp Fall Air, and that is a book that has made you feel refreshed or has given you a new perspective. And I've gone with the refreshed bit, and again, there's several books that I could use for that. The Bible would obviously be one. But I decided to go the fiction route because all of these books are fiction. So actually, all except one are fiction. Yeah, I thought I would go for this one because I think you can definitely get refreshed even by a fiction book. Certainly if it's, a Christian one for me personally. So this, again, there's a few books I could have picked. But I decided to pick Brave by Matthew Andrews. This is book 1 in the King David's Bride series. This is biblical fiction, so as I said with King David, it's based on King David in the Bible. And this follows his, well, technically not his first wife because he marries Saul's daughter, but like his kind of second wife, I guess. Yeah, and it basically follows her journey. It follows King David's journey as well. A lot of it is very fictional because we don't really know anything about her. The wife is Ahinoam. So yeah, because it's a Christian fiction, there's a lot of just really lovely scripture things, prayers, singing to God and stuff like that. And it was really refreshing. It was just really encouraging and all of that. I really loved it. Very strong faith in this book. Question 5, Apple Picking. A book you picked up on a whim and loved. So I pick most of my books on a whim. Because usually, certainly before BookTube, I would just see something I liked in a charity shop, or if I went into Waterstones, I would just have a look around and see what I like the look of, and then, read the blurb and see whether I like the sound of it. So a lot of the books I own are very much like that. In more recent years, like maybe the last couple-ish, some have been influenced by booktubers. So that did make it a little bit more difficult in finding a book that I've read and knew that I loved, because I have a lot of books that I've just picked up on a whim that I've not read yet. But in terms of ones I have read, it's been quite difficult to find any. So in the end, I had to go with the only non-fiction that I picked up, because this I did pick up on a whim before I heard anything about it. And that is The Wager by David Gran. This is a non-fiction based on a ship of the same name, the Wager, and this was set in 1740. Well, not set. This happened in 1742. And yeah, the picture is what drew me in, and then when I read it, it sounded really interesting because it's about shipwrecks, mutinies, murder, and it just sounded really interesting. Even though it's not pirates, it is still sailors. So that still really interests me because I loved Pirates of the Caribbean and those sorts of books and pirates. So yeah, it really interested me. I really enjoyed it. I loved it because it was written as a narrative. So instead of it reading like you're reading a textbook or like you're reading a non-fiction, it was written kind of like someone who lived through it is telling you about it, and not necessarily dramatising it, although obviously I wasn't there, so I don't know what has been dramatised much or, exaggerated, I don't know. But, at face value, it's supposed to be a non-fiction, so it's written kind of like a story. So it was really interesting. It had some pictures in the middle as well, so that's really cool. I don't think there was any other pictures. Yeah, so it was all just text, apart from 2 little sections of coloured pictures. So yeah, this is one I picked up on a whim and loved. Question 6. Scary movie night. A book that genuinely spooked you. And that book is one I read recently. It's an ebook, and that is called The House of Shadows by Darcy Coates. It was really good. It's definitely adult horror. It's not, I personally wouldn't say it's graphic, and there's definitely no other content like sexual content. There was no swearing that I remember. So if there was, it was very minimal because it's set in the past. It's historical. I don't know when, but it's historical. And yeah, which is weird to say for a horror film, but I loved, not horror film, horror book. But I loved it. It was really good. There was a lovely romance. The romance was marriage of convenience. There was no actual intimate relationships shown on page, but there is 1 or 2 instances where you know that they did, and you see the next day or later on or whatever. So there was no spice, there's no other content related to that. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and it definitely spooked me. And it's actually a book 1 in a duology, I think. I don't think there's more than 2 books. I could be wrong, but I do want to read that next. Well, not next, but at some point. No. Oh, I knew I'd say chapter at some point. Question 7 is football season. A book that had you cheering like they were your own team. And that happens quite a lot, especially with sort of like books such as the Hunger Games sort of thing, where there's good guys and there's bad guys, that sort of thing. But the book I decided to pick up because it's the one that came to my head first, and that was Rainbow Valley by Ella Montgomery. This is book something, I can't remember which book it is in the series, but it's the penultimate one, so it's the one before Rilla of Ingleside. And yeah, this mainly follows the children of the new minister. They're often described as the man's children because that's what they call the minister's house, the man's, and that's M-A-N-S-E, if you're not sure by how I'm saying it, because I do struggle with S sounds in that sort of way of talking with words, wherever that is. But yeah, I was definitely cheering the children on. There was definitely times where I was, fully in their boat and agreeing with them. There were times where I thought they were really fun and I was cheering them on in that way. And then just what happens at the end for them and for the kids and their dad, I was cheering them all on for that. So it's definitely a great book for that, for me personally anyway. I loved it. It was so good. Let's have a coffee break. Uh-oh. My books are falling. Oh, they've all gone. Alright, well, let's just leave them. Bean's okay, she's alright. Is question 8, and that is Changing Leaves. A book where a character goes through a major transformation. And again, there's quite a few I have read that I would say count for this. But the one that when I was having a look around, I saw and just knew I had to use it, was actually another Ellen Montgomery, which is quite funny actually. That wasn't intentional. But that is The Blue Castle by Ellen Montgomery. This is a very short book, but there is a lot of words on the page, so it's kind of like Charles Dickens in that way, but I would say it wasn't as much of a slog as A Christmas Carol was, in that sort of short, small writing and full page writing and stuff. But the main character is Valency, and she is very much in a bit of a toxic household. She's bullied a lot, she's very quiet and very submissive, which obviously being submissive, certainly from a Christian point of view, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in her situation, definitely. And basically when she finds out that she had a medical diagnosis that means she isn't going to live long, I think a year, I think is what they said. Yeah, a year. So because of that, it kind of gives her a wake-up call and she starts changing. And so this goes through her transformation, and it goes through a whole year of her life, and it's just fantastic to see the change in her. There are definitely times where I'm like, maybe that's a bit too standing up for yourself, which isn't quite the right phrase, but too, I don't know what the word is, but there are times where I feel I would have done it differently if I was her, maybe. But then again, we all are sinful, and if I was in that situation, maybe I probably would have done exactly what she did, I don't know. But certainly as an outsider reading it, there are times, I think only once actually, where I was like, maybe you shouldn't be quite acting like that, but it's understandable. So yeah, but I love this book, really good. I think I gave it a 4-star though, but it's really good. I recommend it, especially if you're not necessarily in the same situation, although you could be, but certainly if you're like me and Valency at the start of this book, someone who is considered to be, you should already be married or in a relationship sort of thing, where you have social standards kind of put on you and expectations of what you think life is supposed to be like. Definitely give it a read. Definitely. So yeah, where are we next? Okay, question 9 is Pumpkin Patch, and that is a fall themed or autumn set book. And honestly, I don't really have any that I could, well, it's favourite fall themed, and I don't really have any. I'm not saying that there aren't favourites that could have been that, but I just couldn't think of any or find any. There are definitely fall themed books, but are they favourites? That is the key here, and I can't think of any. There are definitely ones that I feel certainly more inclined to that, but they're not necessarily fall or autumnal themed, but they make me feel like they are. So like, say Agatha Christie, some of her books can definitely give you a bit of a fall, sort of autumnal feeling, but they're not necessarily set then. And to be fair, some of them don't actually tell you where they're set, so it wouldn't necessarily matter. But yeah, I haven't picked one for that because I'm not quite sure if I have one. So yeah, apologies. Question 10 is Bonfire Nights, a book you'd want to discuss with friends and read with them as well. And again, there's a few I'm sure I would willingly read and discuss with friends with, but definitely one, because I'm coming from a British background and I live in Britain. I think this one would be an interesting one to discuss, because the friends that I speak to, certainly on BookTube, they're all in America, and I know obviously there are those in Canada as well, but the ones I actually speak to, I think they're all in America. I could be wrong. So I would be interested to hear their experiences or opinions or just viewpoints, because they're from America, with this book, and that is And the Shofar Blue by Francine Rivers. And this is set, well, it goes through quite a few decades. It goes up to what's probably considered modern times, although I can't remember when that is, but I think that's like the early 2000s sort of thing. But it does start in the 80s, I think, or the 70s. You know what? I don't remember now. Yeah, 1987 is when this book starts, and this basically follows a few different people at this church, and they get a new minister because the church is essentially dying off. There's not many people going, and those that are mostly of a certain generation. They're a bit older. And so basically this is basically the experience of this church when this new minister comes in and tries to kind of revitalise the church, bring more people in and stuff like that. And it's basically a commentary on mega churches in the end. And I just thought it was really interesting because I hear a lot about mega churches. I've seen lots of them online, and obviously I hear a lot of horror stories, kind of, for lack of a better word, of just a lot of them being corrupted, certainly in terms of like the staff, like the reverend and stuff, not necessarily just the ordinary congregation goer, although, we're all sinful, but like, so it's just an interesting commentary, and it's definitely one I would like to, well, I'm not saying I would like to actually have a conversation, although I'm willing to, but like, if I was to pick a book for this question of discussing with friends, this is definitely it. Well, certainly one of them anyway, because it'd be interesting. I also enjoyed it. It was my first Francine Rivers. Love it. 11. Hayrides and Corn Mazes. A book that kept you guessing and had lots of twists and turns. And I had a few options I could do, and I'm sure by the twist and turns bit, you're not really surprised. I was thinking of different mystery books, and there's a few that are definitely books that kept me guessing for definite. But the bit where it says lots of twists and turns, I was like, I don't know if I would say some of the ones I've read have lots of twists and turns, but there is one that stands out to me is what I would say definitely is, and that is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I don't have it physically anymore because when I read it, it was a library book, so I'll have a picture up, and that definitely had a lot of twists and turns. You kept guessing, trying to see who the murderer was, and just lots of different clues, but then you would second guess yourself, or the person dies and you're like, oh well, it can't be them then, sort of thing. Definitely twisty and turny. Really good book. I really liked it. Question 12. Thankful Heart. A book you're grateful exists. So the main one is obviously the Bible. Very grateful for that, but there is a fiction that I think goes really nicely alongside it, I would say. This isn't actually my personal copy. This is a copy that I have picked up for Christmas for my grandma, and that is The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. This is the large print version that I got for my grandma because she struggles with her eyesight. So there you go, it's quite big. It's still a very thin book, but obviously it's just a really big copy. But it's very floppy, it's very light, so grandma should be okay with it, despite how big it is. But I definitely think Pilgrim's Progress is something I'm definitely grateful for. It's a really good companion, I think, to the Bible, because it's based on that. It's based on the Pilgrim's journey, the Christian journey, and it's just really beautiful, but also very convicting as well. It's definitely one that is definitely something I think all Christians should not only read, but also reread on I mean, however regular you want to, you know, once a year or more often than that if you want to, you know, whatever. But definitely a book to reread, I would think. I would say anyway. It's certainly something I would want to reread because it's definitely something that's comforting because, you know, you see yourself in all of the characters, and by reading those characters you know that everyone experiences all of those sorts of things at different times, and some more struggle more so with certain ones than others. So it's definitely one of those where it's also comforting as well as convicting and relatable. So yeah, I definitely think Pilgrim's Progress is definitely one I'm grateful to exist, certainly for a fictional sort of book. The last question is question 13, and that is First Frost, and that is a book that gave you chills, and those chills could be spooky, atmospheric, emotional, so it doesn't have to be traditional scary book sort of thing. And I decided to go to traditional scary, and you'll see why I quoted scary in a second, because it definitely gave me chills. Some other more scary books definitely gave me more chills, and there's definitely been emotional books or atmospheric ones, so I'm sure there's lots I could have picked up, but this is the one that came to mind first, so I'm going to use this one, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. And this is a gorgeous cover, except can you see it? Rubbing off, and that's really annoying. This is the thing I don't like about the puffin cloth bound books. They rub off, everything rubs off, and that's really disappointing because you're paying more for them. This was £15 when I bought it, and this was a few years ago now. Did I buy it? Yes, I bought it. Couldn't remember if I got it as a gift, but I bought it. You know, so yeah, £15 for that to end up happening is just a bit disappointing. But I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a book that gives you chills. It's definitely atmospheric. Yeah, I love this book. I actually was tempted to reread it this year during the October spooky season. I didn't, but that's fine. But yeah, I definitely think that is one for the chills. Okay, well, that's all of my books and all of the questions for the finally fall book tag. Thank you, Kelley, for tagging me in this. I really enjoyed having to look for the books again, and answering the questions. I hope you all enjoyed watching. I don't know who to tag. I know we're coming up to more winter time with us coming up to the end of November, but so I don't think I'm going to actually tag anyone. So if you're watching this and you film videos and you want to do this tag, consider yourself tagged. I would love to see your answers to this. If you don't do YouTube but you still want to answer some or all of these questions, please do, you know, just type them in the comments down below and I would love to read your answers. And yes, I have nothing else to say. As I'm filming this, I still have my Saturday video from last week to put up. It didn't work, so I'm having to re-edit it, so hopefully that'll be up soon. If not, this will be the next video you see. But yeah, I don't know what's up with iMovie at the moment. It's having a bit of a thing. It's the same as I had last time when I was trying to put up my vlog. Sometimes iMovie works fine and I'm able to upload. As you all know, you've seen other videos since that September stuff, but yeah, I don't know what's up with it. It's been happening ever since it's been updated, so that's a bit concerning. So I don't know what to do about it. I can't really do anything about it really, but yeah, so that's a bit frustrating a little bit, but that's fine. There we go. But yes, thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your week and weekend, all the times, depending on when you're seeing this. Yeah, thank you for watching. I love you all, and God bless. Bye.